Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, and in today's video, I'll be going over the defensive tackles free agent list, and I'll be going over some guys that I could see the Commanders targeting this offseason at D tackle, and I'll also be talking about the Commanders' updated cap space situation in today's video. The estimated salary cap has come out. The NFL released it a couple of hours ago, so I'll be talking about that as well. But before we get into today's video, make sure y'all leave a like down below, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into today's video. All right, so when it comes to the defensive tackle position for us, obviously we already have Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. However, as we all know, we haven't been getting great production out of them over the past 2 seasons, especially for what they've been getting paid. John Allen, he wasn't bad in 2023, but wasn't as good as he was before 2023. Like, he was elite in 2022 and in 2021, so we kind of had a disappointing season in 2023. And Daron Payne, he had a very disappointing season in 2023, and even this past season, right? He got paid $22.5 million a year back in the offseason of 2023, and he's putting up numbers that are pretty disappointing, pretty good for like a rotational D tackle, but for a guy that's getting paid 20-some million dollars a year, not good production out of Daron Payne, right? So if it were up to me, I would make changes along the D line. Now, will AP in the front office decide to make changes? We'll see, right? Like, changes could look in very different ways. Like, we could bring in a guy or two. We could maybe move on from Daron Payne or John Allen. If we were to cut or trade John Allen, we'd save over $16 million in cap space. If we were to trade Daron Payne, we'd save $9 million in cap space, but we would take up a $16 million dead cap hit. So trading or releasing Daron Payne would definitely be more expensive than trading or releasing John Allen. But regardless, I feel like there needs to be some changes done at the defensive tackle position. And in today's video, I'll be going over D tackles that we could look to bring in to this defensive tackle room. So let's start with Milton Williams, Eagles defensive tackle. He's a guy that they'll probably try and bring back. However, he's going to be expensive. And him and Osa Odighizuwa, who we're going to talk about next, they are probably the top two defensive tackles in this free agency cycle. Milton Williams, he's really good. He obviously wasn't one of their starting D tackles. It was Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, but he has been very good in their D tackle rotation for his entire career there. He did not miss a single game with Philly, which is pretty impressive. This past season, he played in 17 games while actually starting 7 games. He had 5 total sacks, as well as 7 TFLs, 10 QB hits, and he had a great Super Bowl, man. He made himself some money in the Super Bowl, man. He was wrecking havoc up front. He had 2 sacks, 2 TFLs, and 2 QB hits in the Super Bowl, man. That's really good. Per PFF this past season, he had a 70.1 overall grade. That's really good. A 90.4 pass rushing grade. That is second amongst all D tackles in the league according to PFF. That is really, really impressive, man. A 90.4 pass rush grade for a D tackle. That's really good. Wish his run defense grade was as good, though. 43.1. That's not great. Now, I don't think he was that bad defending the run. Like in the Super Bowl, he was pretty good at defending the run. In the playoffs, I feel like he was pretty solid at defending the run. But that's bad. Like, that's not a good run defensive grade, right? So that may be a reason why you get a little ticked off by Milton Williams. However, he's a really good football player, really good D tackle, really good at getting to the quarterback, creating some havoc up front at times. So maybe in a starting role, he can really take that leap because, once again, he wasn't starting in Philly, right? He was coming off the bench in a rotation. So maybe when he gets more and more snaps, he can really elevate his game, really take that big leap, right? Now, because he's one of the top D tackles in this free agency cycle, he's going to be expensive. And we're already paying 2 defensive tackles $20 million this year, and we can't really afford to pay another D tackle $20 million this year. That's why Milton Williams may not be a very realistic option for us. I have his market value set at $13 to $18 million. He could get way more than that. And by way, I mean like $20 million a year, $21 million a year, which is way too expensive. Now, do I think he gets $20 million a year? Probably not. I mean, he hasn't been in a starting role before. He was coming off the bench in a rotation with Philly, so a team paying him $20 to $21 million a year, that's too much. I just don't see that. However, even if they pay him like 15, 16, maybe $17 million a year, I feel like that would just be too rich for us because, once again, we're paying two guys $20 million a year. Now, if we were to move off of one of those guys, then yes, we would be able to bring in a guy like Milton Williams or a guy like Osa Odighizuwa. However, as long as we keep both Allen and Payne, a guy like Milton Williams is probably off the board for us. But just assuming we get rid of one of them, then Milton Williams would be a pretty realistic option for us to sign a D tackle. Next up, we got Osa Odighizuwa, Cowboys D tackle. Obviously, you have the obvious connection to Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr., the Dallas connection. So, we may target him for just that reason, but we're not going to be targeting him for just that reason alone. He is a very active defensive tackle. He's really good at getting to the quarterback. He had a 78.5 pass rush grade per PFF, which is really good. So him and Milton Williams, they're really good at getting to the quarterback. But according to PFF, his run defensive grade, 50.8. That is just below average, so that's not great, right? So Milton Williams and Osa Odighizuwa, really good at getting to the quarterback, but not amazing at stopping the run, according to PFF, once again, right? So they may not be as bad at stopping the run, according to PFF, but PFF says that they aren't amazing at it, right? They're about below average. But Osa Odighizuwa, at some point during the season, he was leading all D tackles in pressures. Yes, like during a stretch of the season. I want to say it was like week 10 or week 11 to like week 15 or something like that, right? I wish I could find the exact data, but I saw a stat on Twitter that literally said Osa Odighizuwa was leading the NFL in pressures during a certain stretch run, right? So that's super impressive. He had a total of 60 pressures this past season, 4.5 sacks, and he has yet to miss a single game in his Dallas career. So durability, man, he's been able to stay super durable. Now, like Milton Williams, he's going to be one of the top D tackles on the market, so he's going to be expensive. $13 to $18 million a year is what I have his market value at. And once again, if we don't cut or restructure or trade Allen or Payne, then I feel like we just won't be able to afford a guy like Milton Williams or Osa Odighizuwa. So we may not even target either one of these guys, right? But if we do move on from one of these D tackles, right, John Allen, Daron Payne, then I could definitely see us targeting Milton Williams or Osa Odighizuwa, specifically Osa Odighizuwa, because of the connection he has with DQ and Joe Witt Jr. So Osa Odighizuwa, definitely a guy I could see us targeting in free agency if we are able to afford him. Next up, I kind of want to shift to the tier 2 guys at D tackle, and I want to first start by talking about B.J. Hill, Bengals D tackle, 29 years old. He's going to turn 30 before the season begins, so he still isn't very old, especially for a D tackle, and you'd be able to bring him in on like a 2, maybe 3, but probably a 2-year deal worth around $8 to $11 million. That's what I have his market value at, and we would be able to afford him, right? If you want to add another D tackle to this D tackle room, I feel like B.J. Hill would be a pretty solid option for you because he wouldn't cost too much money, and he's been a very solid D tackle for the Bengals. With the Bengals this past season, he had a 70.2 overall grade, 64.2 pass rush grade, 69.2 run defense grade per PFF, right? So pretty solid overall, pretty solid at stopping the run, and pretty good at getting to the quarterback as well. This past season, he had 3.5 sacks, or 3 sacks, sorry. He also had 7 TFLs and 9 QB hits. The season before, he had 4.5 sacks, and the season before that, he had 3 sacks. So he's been pretty solid with the Bengals throughout his entire career so far with the Bengals. He spent the past 4 years with the Bengals and put up pretty solid numbers with Cincy. And by the way it looks, they're probably not going to bring him back. And I'd be shocked if they brought him back, to be honest. They got to pay T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. They probably won't be able to afford B.J. Hill, right? So B.J. Hill, he's a guy that I would be interested in. He is good at stopping the run once again, and he can get to the quarterback occasionally, right? So he's a guy that I could see us being interested in for sure. And unlike Milton Williams and Osa Odighizuwa, he's going to cost you less money, right? So if you want to look at some tier 2 guys that you may want to bring in, BJ Hill is definitely a guy to look at for sure, in my opinion. So that's definitely a guy that I would have interest in. And then I have a guy up here that's pretty interesting of a free agent prospect to look at. Tershawn Wharton, Chiefs D tackle, 26 years old, but he's been with the Chiefs for 5 years now. This past season, he had his best season of his career. 6.5 sacks along with 7 TFLs and 11 QB hits. And he also had a 68.3 pass rush grade according to PFF. So this guy is able to create interior pressure, and that's what we need, right? We need to get more interior pressure, and this guy could help out with that. I have his market value at $7 to $9 million. Now, he could be a little cheaper than that, right? Like, he is a really good D tackle to have in your rotation, but isn't a great guy to have starting because he isn't a great run stopper. However, on third downs, if you need a guy that can get to the quarterback in, this guy can do it. Tershawn Wharton, he had the best season of his career so far with the Chiefs this past year, and he was amazing at getting to the quarterback. So he's a guy that I could see us being interested in, and he's another tier 2 guy that, you know, we may not have the money to pay Milton Williams and Osa Odighizuwa due to the amount of money we're already investing into the D tackle room, right? So getting a cheaper option like Tershawn Wharton to have in your defensive tackle rotation, I feel like that would definitely be a good add. So he's a guy that I could definitely see us being interested in this offseason, and he wouldn't be too expensive. Now, real quick, just want to go over the whole list of free agent D tackles. Javon Hargrave, 32 years old. He has the Adam Peters connection, obviously, from the Niners, but I'm good on him. He didn't really work out with the Niners. DJ Jones, he is a guy that you may watch. He's kind of in that second tier of D tackles I talked about, but, you know, we'll see if we target him. Talked about BJ Hill already. Javon Kinlaw, good on him. Folorunso Fatikazi, good on him. Jaron Reed, good on him. Sebastian Joseph Day, he's interesting, right? He may not be a bad guy to add into your rotation, so we'll see if we target him. Morgan Fox, good on him. Greg Gaines, good on him. Solomon Thomas, good on him. John Jenkins, Jerry Tillery, Linval Joseph, just listing out names at this point. So these are really all of the names on this D tackle list. Y'all can go ahead and read it right here. You have Sheldon Day down here. We may bring him back, right? Maybe to have as a guy who can compete during training camp, during the offseason, see if he can make the roster. So we'll see. But Sheldon Day, he was pretty good for us as a run-stopping D tackle. So, you know, we'll see if we decide to bring him back. But that is really about it for the available defensive tackles in free agency. And then real quick, just want to give you guys a salary cap update, and then I'll get up out of here. So it was reported today, well, it was announced today actually by the NFL. They sent out the official cap space number to teams today. Now, it isn't the exact number, it's an estimate. The estimate is at $277.5 million to $281.5 million. That's what the salary cap will be set at this year. So somewhere in between that number. They'll have the exact number out next week, but they just wanted to send this number out to teams today so that they kind of have an idea of what the salary cap will be at this year. So, hey man, business is booming, right? That's a whole lot of money that teams are able to obviously spend up to, right? And we already had a lot of cap space, and we have even more now that the official cap space number is being announced, right? So on over the cap, they have the salary cap being $279.5 million. That's not the exact number. We'll see the exact number next week, but this is what they are estimating at after the estimate came out today, right? So they have us at $82.2 million in cap space. So, hey man, that's a lot of money. I think we had like $96 million last year or $91 million last year. So, hey man, we still got a lot of money to spend, and I expect us to spend it. And spend it wisely, of course, but I expect AP in the front office to be aggressive when you have a guy now on his rookie deal who is, in my opinion, the top 5 quarterback in the NFL, you've got to take this opportunity and maximize his rookie deal, build around him before it's time to pay him, and you can build a really good squad around him while he's on his rookie deal. And I expect AP and the rest of the front office to do so this offseason. So we got a lot of money. Let's see how we spend it. So that is all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, and other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.